Man, it's gonna pick up through the mic, huh? Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome back to another episode of the Mando. I'm your host, Armando Ortega. I hope everybody is doing great today. You know, it's been a very difficult day today, I'm not gonna lie. Full of ups and downs, mainly downs, but you know, it's how life is sometimes, you know? Just doing this episode to get, how do you say it? Just get something done in hopes of bringing up a mood a bit. I'm not gonna go into full details what's going on. I know in this show I cover a lot of topics, you know, just a lot of them. It could be from, you know, the positives and negatives of what law enforcement does. It could be the positive negatives of what you know, people who do or do not do crimes do, if that makes sense. It could be a lot of things. Even it's just been episodes of just pure video game movie nerding out, you know? Just talk about literally everything. One positive thing is that just the other day, like not yesterday, but the day before, I ended up actually getting the official Elder Scrolls cookbook. So I'm like really excited. You know, I think I'm going to do the recipe that literally everybody does, which is the Horker loaf. Looks very nice, looks very interesting. Just want to get it done. You know, I ended up calling off of work today. Well, actually, no. I essentially called off of work yesterday while I was finishing up my shift. Huge reason was because today me and my lady had well, it was mainly for my lady, but had to end up going to court, you know. Like in the end of June, something tragic happened to her sister, and you know, we're just seeking justice for it all. The reason I'm not getting too much into information is because out of respect of my sister and her family, well, my lady, her family, and her sister and everything, it's you know, if she doesn't mind me talking about it, I will. But if, you know, she doesn't, then I'm just keeping it very brief. Something tragic happened to her older sister, and it did not end good. So now we're just hoping, you know, justice comes into place, like justice is served, basically. And you know, it's been a very emotional, very hard, difficult day, which is why, you know, it's like it's not the best. My lady's out there right now and everything like that. She called off for work today also, and she's just handling her business. I'm here at the house. You know, the house, we've been keeping it organized and as clean as possible. We could do more actually, but it's like it's not as cluttered as it used to be, you know. It's actually shaping up a good amount. Yeah. How do you say it? Other than that, it's like, you know, it's just trying to keep our heads up, basically. Well, mainly my lady and her family have been dealing with the worst end of everything for over a month already, almost 2 months. But the fact that they're still going strong, the fact that, you know, they're still going forward, it's commendable. It's very impressive. It's very respectable and everything. It kind of reminds me of I know I bring it back to myself, even though it seems like not the appropriate thing to do, but it's something that I feel like, you know, I need to share. Whenever anything tragic happens, I try to, you know, one good thing you could have with somebody is empathy. When anything happens to them, anything's currently happening to them and everything, it's not the greatest thing. One of the great ways to have empathy typically is to, be able to relate to what's happening to them, being able to relate, if it's something about like unfairness, being to relate with that specific unfairness. When it has to do with loss, be able to relate to that loss, just relate to anything they're going through in any form. And just like, being able to put yourselves in their shoes because you've done it. A quick example, like everybody knows loss of a loved one, of a family member, etc., etc. Everybody knows that if they ever face a loss of a loved one, of a family member, it's gonna feel horrible. But until you actually go through it, it's a whole different story, Something a little less dramatic is, I think I talked about it in a few episodes past, when I would talk to my lady about, possibly one day when we save up money, pack our belongings and move up north to where I grew up and everything. And how my lady, she was like all for it, but I told her, it's very likely that she's gonna have cold feet when we get closer to that date. And that was the case and everything like that. She started getting colder and colder feet when it became more of a reality that is something that was gonna happen, and it felt soon at that time. And how do you say, she started feeling the same way I felt when I faced that whole thing of moving away from home to move down here. And I was able to actually relate to that. I was able to actually understand how she was feeling, everything that was going through her mentality. I knew she was going to be worried about her family. She'd be worried about her friends. She's going to be worried about, leaving behind for who knows how long the place she grew up in, the place she was raised in. And that's very normal. That's normal for everybody, especially if where you grew up, if it was somewhere that you have a lot of very fun memories and, it doesn't really hinder your way of living, your lifestyle or anything like that, moving away from that can be difficult because although it's not going to be gone, you're separating yourself from that. My buddy, the one who moved to Wyoming, he's fine. He's fine moving to a different state because, even though he had a lot of good memories down here, living down here wasn't suitable for him. It just wasn't for him. So he moved somewhere where he was able to have fun, prosper, fit in his lifestyle, and it's working incredibly for him so far. For me, it's like, I feel like I can go either way. I can either go somewhere rural or I could stay in the city. It's just, I'm adaptable basically. And my lady, she, I'm sure she's the same way. It's just, it's hard. Like a bird who has little babies and everything like that. And those babies reach an age where, they should be able to fly and leave the nest. And then the bird gives them a little nudge and they either fall and splat or, more desirably, they fall and spread their wings and fly. And that's essentially what I feel like my lady is getting up to, that point where she needs to kind of get that little nudge, kind of fall a little bit, but spread her wings and fly, because it's truly rewarding when that happens. And honestly, it's a lot easier when you have somebody, not only somebody who understands, but somebody who has also lived what you're going through. And that type of being able to relate in that type of way it gives you such how do you say it, such a different level of empathy that the other person is just able to understand that you get them, you understand them and everything. And but that's just basically what's really been going on today. Other than that, It's not much. I'm not at work. I'm not going to go to work. I'm actually not going to be able to go back to work until Saturday and everything. I kind of feel bad because it's just like I called off the week before last week also. I forgot for what reason. But yeah, no, I did that. And it's just like, I don't like calling out. I don't like making it a habit and anything like that, because I've worked with people who have called out every other weekend. Well, correction, every other Friday, because we always got paid on Friday every 2 weeks. And those two people would always call in sick every other Friday, which will happen to fall on payday. And it's just like, we know what you're doing, but because of that shift, barely having people and struggling to have people actually join that wanted to work that shift, excuse me, they were able to stick around as long as they did. But yeah, no, that's not what I do. I like working, although I do get tired sometimes. Even when I'm tired, I will still go to work. That's just who I am. That's just how I've always been. You know, there's been points where I held 2 full-time jobs. There's been times where I worked the same job, but just pulled doubles like every single day, you know? 1 second. Just who I was. And honestly, I could chalk that up to a couple of things. One, both my parents, my mother and father, and they're from Guatemala. You know, born and raised there and everything. Although they didn't meet until they were here in California, in Los Angeles, and they moved up north to San Francisco, where they ended up having me and my sister. They were both born and raised in Guatemala, and they were both very hard workers. Very hard workers. My father came here when he was 18, I want to say. My mother, when she was, how old was my mom? She was either like 25, 26, I forgot. But she was here for the 89 earthquake, that's for sure though. So what do you call it? Yeah, they both grew up working. Since their very younger years, they both grown up working, because that's the only choice they had to do, was to work and work hard, and work for a little bit of money, but work hard for that little bit of money. And they just kept doing it even well into their later years and everything. You know, the last time I went to go see my family last October, it was actually very nice because of the pandemic and everything like that. My mother was basically forced to not work anymore. One, due to her age, even though she's not old yet like that. But two, because where she worked at was a cleaning lady at a hotel. And that hotel was one of the many hotels across the countries that shut down because they weren't deemed as essential. So, what do you call it? When I was speaking to my mother face to face this past October, she basically told me how she had a talk with my older sister, and my older sister was like, why don't you just retire? You know? And my mom was like, no, mira, because I gotta go work, this and that. And then my sisters were all like, well, we're all grown. We all, you know, we all can support ourselves. We all can support you. You don't have to go to work anymore. You don't have to do that anymore. You can stay here, worry about your land in Guatemala, because I think that's my mother's goal still. Like, once we're all grown and able to move out, and once her place is built in Guatemala, she's gonna move down there again, which is nice, you know, because like I say, I miss home. I could only imagine her, and she's been away from that since she was in her 20s. So what do you call it? Yeah, so it's just like my mother agreed. She's like, okay. So, you know, my mother, before 60 years old, she's now retired, which is very nice. Very, very nice. And how do you say it? Crap, what was I about to say? I keep forgetting. Hopefully the music's not too loud in the background. Oh yeah. So yeah, so no, just barely barely she was able to finally be like, I'm good, I'm done working. My father, I haven't spoke to him in shoot almost 10 years next year. And what do you call it, I don't know what he's up to. I'm assuming he's still working. Last I heard, well, the last that I've known from him is he was still working 2 full-time jobs. So there's the hard working. Well, anyways, I started working when I was 11. I would go to with my mother every time I had a break from school, whether it be winter break, spring break, summer break, whatever. Every time I had a break from school, I would go with her to go clean houses, and she had a good amount of houses to clean. So we'd go and clean houses, and I just did that for years. Before I hit puberty, during puberty, after puberty, even after high school, for some time. And that's just what I grew up doing. Got my first official job where I had to fill out W-2 forms and it got paychecks and everything. I had that, and it's just what I've basically been ingrained to do. It's just been in me since I was a kid. So it gets to the point where even though I would love vacations, even though I would love to like not have to go work, if I don't, it's just weird to me. I just don't know what to do myself, really. I can do what I love to do, but I would still feel like something's missing. So work is always going to be part of me, like all the time, probably until the day my time on this earth is done. But how do you call it? There are some things that I was talking to my coworker the other day. Well, not my coworker. He's my supervisor. I was talking to him about this the other day. Basically, like I spoke in my last episode, how to limit your kids. Well, how parents should limit their kids nowadays when it comes down to electronic, social media, etc., because of, if you're not raising your children, strangers on the internet will be raising your children. And not everybody thinks the same. I'm saying that's a bad thing, but there are people who, if you don't want one extreme, there's other extremes online, and that's basically what you're basically just taking a gamble on who your child decides to follow as an influence. So how do you call it, even though I said, yeah, I agree with how my mother and my sisters chose to raise me and everything, and I'm thankful for it. I come to terms that there are some things that I feel like could have been different. I don't resent my family, not at all. Again, I love them to death, and I'm thankful for everything that they done to me. The only thing is, it could be something as how do you call it, insignificant, like sports. I went to a high school. We had a track field, we had football field doubled also as a soccer field. We didn't have a baseball field. We had a gymnasium for basketball games. We had tennis courts, we had basketball courts, we had volleyball courts and everything, but we've never used that. Not at all. Any of the years that I went to school there, never once used those, unless it was 2 teams from different schools that needed a field to play, and they decided to come to my school's field to play their games, and that was it. Because the city decided to save money by cutting off all the sports teams first from my school, before I even got to go there. And not only that, they slowly started doing it with arts and everything like that, which is ironic because half of that school was purely for art. That's the whole reason why people went there. So what do you call it? But if they did have sports there, if we did utilize that football field, those courts, those track fields, etc., the suckish part would have been for the fact that I still would not have been able to participate in any of them. If it was soccer, wouldn't have been able to join. If it was football, wouldn't have been able to join. If it was track or basketball, wouldn't have been able to join, even though I don't like those last two. And that was because my family felt like my time could have been better utilized doing other stuff aside from extracurricular activities at school. And that sucked. I'm gonna be honest right now. It did suck at that age and everything. I did join one school sports team, but that was in middle school when I was in 7th grade, and that was my soccer team in 7th grade. But it still wasn't good enough. Well, that sounds like I'm being ungrateful, but it still wasn't as good as I thought it should have been, because I would be able to go to practices, do run drills, make plays and everything like that. But when it came down to actually going to a game in order to play with different teams against different schools and everything, I would never really get to go to them. And my family wouldn't allow it. My mother and my sister wouldn't allow it. So I probably went to like 4 games in total when I was part of the soccer team. So when the season was over and we had to do this ceremony for everybody who participated in sports, I got a medal, but how do you call it? I truly felt like I didn't deserve it, because it's just, it just sucked. It just sucked. The fact that I wasn't allowed to go to every single one of the games. I wasn't able to play at all one of those games. And when I would go, I would just basically sit on the bench. I'd just be there. I'd just be a body, because they needed people just in case somebody got hurt or somebody else couldn't make it. And that was only when the days I was able to go. And like I said, it did suck. It did not help at all. And after that, they're like, okay, cool. Well, you're not going to do any more sports. Ooh, what the hell? I hate my phone does that. Sorry. I'm doing my Bluetooth and everything. And yeah, then I went to a high school. Didn't even have sports to begin with. But the thing is, the counselors, the principal, vice principal, everybody, even some of the teachers would actually be like, hey, listen, I know we don't have sports in the school or anything because, they got defunded, but there are other schools throughout the city that still do have their own teams, who do utilize their own fields and everything. If you want to do sports, all you need to do is notify your parents. We can start some paperwork and we can get you to go try out for those different teams at those different schools. And it's a shame, really, because our school didn't have the best view, but it was still beautiful on a beautiful sunny day. When you would take the bus up that hill and everything to get to where our school was at, and looking over the horizon, you just see these hills, the sun peeking over them in the morning or setting, and just illuminating it with the orange, yellow, goldish light on the field. And it was just a sight to behold, basically. If I find photos, I could try and post pictures of them while I'm talking about this. So it's just, I like what I'm saying with all this is, what I was saying in my last video of be careful, I'm gonna let my kids have their own cell phones, but I'm gonna make sure they have limits on them. But I'm also knowing the importance of making sure that they have their freedoms, their friends, and being able to actually have fun and enjoy their youth. Basically give them the stuff that I wish I had and everything, hoping that they make the right choices, well, to an extent that I did and everything, because I wasn't a perfect child. No, I screwed up, but nothing major that landed me in any like legal or like lifelong problems or anything like that. But it's just like, it's like, I just kind of wish that I was able to kind of enjoy my youth, my middle and high school life a little bit more, and I felt like sports would have really helped with that. But it's not all bad. I mean, like, I remember in ninth and 10th grade, I was joining this music class, but it was actually like a rock band music class where I played my electric guitar and everything, was able to practice and perform songs. And I was able to like have days where we would do like little performances, little events and everything like that. And I still have the DVDs. Hopefully they still work. And be able to, how do you say it, stay later after school and go hang out with my friends and everything like that. I remember one time we ended up having hanging out with my friends and everything, and we didn't have to stay in school, and my family expected me to like be like, okay, well, you practice after school, but if you don't practice doesn't last that long, come straight home and then we'll take you back there when it's time. I remember one time I just did practice, and then I ended up just going to Stonestown with my friends. We walked there from our high school, which is funny because like looking back at it, it's like you think it's a long walk from our high school all the way to a mall and everything. That feels like in the other side of the city, but truly, because SF is so small compared to San Diego County and everything, it really isn't that long of a walk at all. And it's like, it's weird to come to that like realization. But how do you call it? That's basically how I had my fun, how I did my sneakiness and everything like that. I think I remember one time we were eating Chinese food, my family was like, hey, did you go to Stonestown that day? And I was like, no. I'm pretty sure they knew I did, but you know, I just never got in trouble for it. I don't know why. Like I said, if my DVDs still work, I'll probably just try and download them and, you know, see if I could upload them and stuff. But yeah, what do you call it? So I ever have kids. My kids want to participate in sports. I don't know how my mentality will be when that day comes, but right now I will say that I would actually encourage them to try sports. If they want to try football, they want to try soccer, baseball, hell, even volleyball, track, basketball, or anything like that. Even water polo. You know that San Clemente High School has water polo there? It's pretty dope. You know, I'm just, screw it, do it. You know, like let's see what's going on, what's the requirements, what's gonna happen. If you want to do sports, do sports. I feel like that's actually really good. Like for me, one of my favorite things personally is a sense of brotherhood, a sense of belonging to a crew, and you guys have a similar goal in mind, and you guys just encourage each other like a brotherhood. Like I just said, I feel like me and some of my friends that I made down here, we had a brotherhood and everything when we were doing the same stuff. And it's just like, I feel like you can get that in sports, like sort of a brotherhood also. And it's like, it's just fun. I don't see the harm in sports, really. Stay safe, make right choices, have fun. Excuse me. Oh man, it's like kind of tickled my throat. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna go grab some more water. Please enjoy. What is this? Skyrim Music and Ambiance Day. All right, I'll be right back. You know, I just realized that I only have one more water bottle left in the fridge, so I gotta get some more. Bet some of you are like, water bottles? What? Don't you have a sink or a Brita or something? No, I don't have a Brita. And I don't think they work. Let me explain. It's a sidetrack from my original topic. So basically, if you've lived in one location your entire life, you're always going to be used to with what that one location brings. Even if there's changes through where you grew up, they'll be so casual and so gradual that you won't even really notice, you know? And when you suddenly move somewhere else, you're going to see how many differences that place brings. So one of the things is water. You see, back home, it wasn't unusual for anyone to go to the kitchen, grab a glass, maybe put like 2 ice cubes in there, and just get tap water. It was good. It was fine and everything. I moved down here back in 2016, and I remember doing that with the tap water down here, and it tasted absolutely disgusting. The girl I was still going out with at that point, she did the same thing, and it was gross. We hated it. So what did we do? We bought a Brita filter for our sink, and we bought a Brita filter for our pitcher, a Brita pitcher, whatever. So double filtration. You would think that would help. And then we put it in the fridge, let it get cold and everything like that, and we would pour ourselves our glass. No, that still tasted horrible. And we tried it multiple times, and it's without any changes. So me and the girl I used to go out with at that point would just go buy water bottles. I guess people in San Diego feel the same exact way about their water, because almost every single person I met here always has water bottles in their fridge. And it's just like, it just became so normal to me, so common and everything. So when I finally was able to go back home after 4 years and everything, I remember my sisters were like, hey, you want something to drink? Water? Okay. And what I saw them do is just put 2 ice cubes in a glass and give me tap water. And I was just like, oh crap, because I was just thinking about San Diego tap water. So when I drank it, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then when I went back the other times after that, I just kept grabbing water from the tap, and it just tasted so good. So it's just like, I can't wait to the point where I've been able to go back up there, hopefully to live soon. And just be able to like not have to spend water on water bottles, just do it with tap and everything. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I gotta get more water bottles. We only have one left and everything. So back to the original topic in hand about sports and everything like that. That's really the only thing I can think of right now that I wish, was a little bit different with the way I was raised. I don't think sports would have really affected me in any negative way. Honestly, if anything, it probably would have given me more incentive to continue trying to be on top of my education and everything, because I used to skip school like crazy, to the point where even in my last year, my senior year, I was so scared that I would never graduate. But luckily I did, barely, but luckily I did. And yeah, so I have my own kid. If they want to do sports, I'll let them do sports. If that's a thing that they feel like it's going to keep them like on top of their education and give them incentive to just keep trying and doing better and everything, why not? In the end of the day, isn't that what all parents want? Just for not only the best for their kid, but for their kid to want the best for themselves too. That's what I think. But who knows, Oh man, water's just delicious. Excuse me. What was I? There was another topic I was going to bring up at hand and everything. Oh yeah. So earlier when I was talking about like if I got to choose a different school, there's a school in SF. It's called George Washington High School. I'll post up a picture of what I'm talking about right now. Their football field is beautiful. Oh my God. Like, I loved my place that I went to. And I told my supervisor yesterday, it's like, if I got to choose anywhere, because the thing about me and my family was wherever my sister went, because she was just a year older than me, wherever my sister went, I would have to go. So she went to this elementary school, I would have to go there. She went to that middle school, I would have to go there. She went to that high school, I would have to go there. So that school I went to, I mean, I'm glad I went there, but I had to go. If I was able to choose my own school, one would be in San Clemente, because that place is just absolutely gorgeous. But the second one would be George Washington High School back home in SF, because, and I was going to show you, is their football field. Literally. You go there, like that school seems like they put money into their sports programs, but you go there and you just see that the north of their football field, you have a beautiful, clear, unobstructed view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Foggy, rain, shine, anything. You just see the view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's a view you cannot beat. Well, you can, but still, like, imagine going to school and seeing that every day. Holy crap. Like, I would have loved to done that and everything. Like I said, I had friends who went there. I dated a girl who went there and everything, and it's just like, it wouldn't be bad at all. But that's the thing of the past. Speaking of high school, I forgot to mention this. Let me check if it's actually still a thing that is going on. I haven't gotten an alert for it. I think it's in September. Oh crap, let me see if it's events. Yeah, September 10th. Crap, that's gonna be in 17 days, so in like 2 weeks. It's almost 2.5 weeks. A lot of my old high school friends put up an event stating, because I guess my school didn't do an official 10-year reunion. They want to do their own reunion, and I would love to go. But there are issues with that. It's the fact that I need to get a plane ticket. I could stay with my family, but I know if I go with my family, they're going to expect me to just be with them all the time, which I don't hate at all. I really don't. I'd love to do that. The only thing is, I would also love to go see a lot of my old friends whom a lot of them I haven't spoken to since graduating high school, or a little bit after graduating high school. I mean, like in person, but we would talk from time to time online. One of my friends, his name is Alex. I don't know if I talked about him in the past in one episode, but brief history of Alex. Alex is a year older than me and everything. We went to the same kindergarten, but he was always in the classroom with my sister. And he finished kindergarten before I finished kindergarten, like a year, the year before I was able to finish it. When I was in first grade, he was in second. When I was in second, he was in third, etc., etc., etc. He graduated elementary school in 2004. I graduated elementary school in 2005. Fast forward a couple of years, I start 9th grade. I'm in art class, and I'm sitting down at a table, and I look at it. I'm just like, I don't know anybody there. I want to get to know people. And I see him, and we start talking and everything. And then, like, at one point, I'm just like, this fool looks so familiar. Because remember, the last time we saw each other, like, yeah, we were cool in elementary school, but we weren't like super like pow, like, oh, we're buddies, yeah, this and that, we were just cool with each other. And besides, at that point, the last time we saw each other, we were little kids. Now we're teenagers, we already started our teenage years. So we sound different. We're different sizes and this and that. So I remember looking at him and just thinking to myself, "Dad, this fool looks familiar." And I don't know, he was thinking about the same about me. So I go and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" He's like, "Hey." And I'm like, "How you doing?" "My name's Mando." He's like, "My name's Alex," this and that. And I'm like, "Hey, why do you look so familiar?" And he's like, "I was just thinking about the same about you." And I'm like, "Oh, for sure." And I'm like, "All right, what preschool you went to?" And he told me, and I was like, "No, I didn't go to." "What elementary school you went to?" He's like, "J. Sarah." And I'm like, "I went to J. Sarah." And he's like, "Oh, no way. What year you graduated?" And he was like 2004. And I was like, "Oh, I did 2005. And I was like, "Huh, you were a year older than me." And I'm just like, "You do look hella familiar." And I'm like, he went to class with my sister though. So I knew he knew my sister. So I was like, "Hey, you know my sister?" And I said her name. And he was like, "Oh, I know her." And I'm like, "Yeah, she's my sister." And I was like, "I'm her little brother." He was like, "Armando?" And it was like, "Oh crap." And like, that's when it finally clicked. Our memories came back and everything. We're like, oh, reunited again. The thing is, remember how I said he was older, always a year older than I was? Well, we were both in ninth grade when we met again. It's just like, how is that possible? Like, how are you a year older, but we're now in the same grade and everything? You know, to anybody else, if anybody else had told me what he told me, I would just think they're lying because, you know, they failed and everything like that. But since he was the one who told me what he told me, I believed it because of how he is. He is a dork. He is a dork. He's a nerd. I love him for that and everything. He's still the same way. Such a great guy. He went to middle school and everything. And in his 7th grade year and everything, he went through all of 7th grade. But I don't know what happened. Maybe he had a bad teacher. I forgot exactly what he told me. But he said he absolutely felt like he did not learn anything. Like, he learned absolutely nothing his 7th year. So he went to the counselor. He went to the principal, had his parents and everything. He was just like, hey, I didn't learn anything. I would like to repeat 7th grade. And they're like, what? Are you sure? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't know anything that happened this year. I want to learn again. So I guess they all agreed. All right, you get to repeat the 7th grade. So he did. He repeated the 7th grade. And that's how, when we met again in high school, we were both in the 9th grade. And I mean, like, true story. This fool was like, this fool was a year older than me, but we graduated the same year. It's just like, not like that matters, but like, it's just, I'm happy for that because we reunited again in art class. And then I convinced him to move to music with me. And then we just played video games together. We talked. My mom still remembers him and everything like that. And, the funny part is his family still remembers me and remembers my sister. And I was like, holy crap. And so people in our 9th year thought we were twins because we had similar hairstyles. We had similar facial structure, similar skin tone, similar glasses and everything. They thought we were brothers. Sometimes they thought we were twins. They would call me the cool twin. They call him the nerdy twin and everything. But, you know, it's just who we were and everything, and we got along. We've been like best friends. It evolved from the point from best friends to brothers because we're just that close. We talk from time to time after we graduated high school, but not as often as I would have liked. A couple months ago, we ended up hitting each other up on Discord. I forgot for what reason. And we talked and we caught up. We talked for 3 hours. And the only reason we talked for 3 hours was because my phone was going to die and I didn't have a charger near me. And because it was pretty late and we both had work the next day. That was it. Had our phones been fully charged, had we had a free day the next day and everything like that, no doubt in my mind, we would have gone even longer just talking and everything. And I missed that. And I remember at one point when I was video chatting and everything like that, his mom walked in and he was like, hey ma, ¿te recuerdas de Armando? And she's like, ¿Quién? Armando de J. Sarah. And she sees me and it's like, for those who don't know Spanish, he asked his mom if she remembers Armando, meaning me. And she was like, who? And he was like, Armando from J. Sarah, which is Juniper Sarah, but just shortened. That was our elementary school. And what do you call it? She looks and she sees me and she's like, oh my God, Armando and everything. Like, you know, we catch up real quick. But like almost 10 years. The reason I say almost 10 years later is because we still kind of kept up with each other after graduating high school. Almost 10 years later, and she still remembers me. And like, how many people do you know that they can not even hear your name for a decade, and as soon as they see you, they're like, oh my God, and everything, you know? And let alone your friends' parents, you know? So what do you call it? Anyways, this fool has been hitting me up every time I go to SF. He says, Armando, you want to go eat? Let's go eat. Let's catch up, this and that. And I would always from the bottom of my heart, always want to go with him. But because I rarely visit home I always want to use the time to go see my family and go be with them. Thankfully, he understands. But that's just how it is. So hopefully in a few months' time, I can get like maybe, it may seem unrealistic, but maybe 2 weeks off. Go home and just go dedicate days to see my friends and be with my family. And it's going to be incredible. But yeah. But most importantly, I would love for to be able to take my lady, take her back home with me, introduce her to my friends, introduce her to my family, because they already met on Zoom, but to actually be there in person is a whole different story. She deserves a lot of love and a lot of attention, and I feel like, you know, it would help her a lot, and I would love her to be able to experience everything that I've experienced with me, like for the first time. That's really about it, what I have to say today, to be honest. I just want to let you all know that in the end of the day, whether you've known people whom you don't really talk to much anymore, or you know, you talk to your friends or family every day, people, even though it doesn't seem realistic right now, people care about you, care about me, care about everybody here. So I know this sounds corny and cheesy, but honestly, just really cherish each other. Like, even if it's just once in a while, just hit each other up, say, hey, I've been thinking about you, just want to make sure you're okay. I know we don't talk too much, but you're always on my mind. You have no idea, or maybe you do, how much that means to people. And, you know, one day I know if somebody just hits me up, hey, you know, I just thought about you, I want to make sure you're okay. Yeah, dude, send me to the moon, you know. It's gonna make my day. But yeah, yeah, that's I don't have anything else to say for today. I know I was gonna talk about She-Hulk, but honestly, one, this episode's long enough, but two, there's this cool intro I kind of want to make, super creative. It's in my head. I just got to transfer it to the computer, and make it a reality, and I'll post it up in the next opening clip of the Mando. Well, anyways, everybody, I hope everybody is doing incredible right now. I hope everybody's having an incredible day, friends, family, or just by yourself. I've been your host, Armando Ortega, and I thank you all for joining me in this episode of the Mind of Mando. For hear me rant, like talk, and I hope everybody here has a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.